At AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, the Netherlands drew 2-2 with Japan. The temperature inside that arena, fully air-conditioned, fully roofed, safely controlled, was comfortable. A pleasant evening for football. No risk, no danger, no heat stress. The referee blew his whistle at the 22nd minute, not for a foul, for a water break. Virgil van Dijk, one of the finest defenders in the world, looked at the referee, looked at the air-conditioned ceiling above him, laughed, and then said exactly what he thought. "Hydration breaks are a bit interesting," he said afterward, choosing his words with the careful restraint of a man who had more to say and decided to leave some of it behind. "I think you have to look at it in every game, separately, in my opinion. Separately, game by game, temperature by temperature, need by need. That is the principle UEFA announced this week that it will follow for Euro 28 and all future Champions League competitions. A formal, published, unambiguous decision, confirmed to the Telegraph by a UEFA spokesperson, that the continent that runs the club game and the European Championship will not copy what FIFA has done, will not make breaks mandatory for every match, will not split football into 4 quarters, regardless of conditions. Europe has looked at what this World Cup has produced and said no. And that verdict, delivered with quiet authority while the tournament is still being played, is one of the most significant moments in the governance of football in years. Stay with us, because what UEFA has just decided and why tells you everything about where the battle for the soul of this game now stands. FIFA announced the mandatory hydration breaks in December of last year, 3 minutes midway through each half in every 104 matches. No exceptions, no thresholds, no temperature requirements. The same rule in a roofed, climate-controlled stadium in Dallas that on an open pitch in Houston at noon. The same pause in play at midnight in Vancouver as in the afternoon heat of Guadalajara. Every match, every half, every time. FIFA's chief tournament officer Manolo Subiria stated the principle directly at the World Broadcaster meeting months before the competition opened. For every game, no matter where the games are played, no matter if there's a roof, temperature-wise, there will be a 3-minute hydration break. It will be 3 minutes from whistle to whistle in both halves. Every game, no matter the roof, no matter the temperature. FIFA's justification was consistency. Equal conditions for all teams across all matches. No team should have an advantage, the argument went, because their match happened to fall on a cooler evening. Every squad gets the same pause. Every squad gets the same tactical window. Every squad gets the 3 minutes. But consistency is not the same as necessity. And the question the football world has been asking since the first whistle blew on June 11th is whether the price of that consistency, paid in momentum, in flow, in the unbroken narrative tension that makes football the most compelling sport on earth, is a price worth paying. If you are watching this and care about what is happening to football, subscribe now and hit the bell. Because what UEFA has just done in response to this World Cup is a decision that will shape the game for years. UEFA's answer is published in its existing regulations and has now been formally confirmed for future competitions. Cooling and drinks breaks are available. They are not mandatory. They become compulsory only when specific conditions are met. A wet bulb globe temperature reading of 32 degrees Celsius or 35 degrees in standard thermometer terms. Below that threshold, any break is at the referee's discretion, not FIFA's schedule. A UEFA spokesperson confirmed to the Telegraph that there are no plans to change this approach for either the Champions League or Euro 28. The decision was not framed as a criticism of FIFA. It was framed as a statement of principle. The principle is straightforward. Stop the game when the conditions demand it. Trust the referee and the match delegate to read those conditions with a thermometer. And when the temperature is manageable, Let football breathe. Euro 2028 will be held in England, Scotland, Wales, and the Republic of Ireland, June and July, Atlantic climate. The likelihood of temperatures consistently reaching the 32-degree wet bulb threshold across those four countries is, to put it gently, extremely low. Which means that for the tournament that follows this World Cup, the next major international football event on the global calendar, there will almost certainly be no hydration breaks, no commercial windows, no mid-half pauses. 90 minutes, 2 halves, the way the game was built. The players at this World Cup have been making the same argument in their post-match interviews for days. Virgil van Dijk in the air-conditioned stadium in Arlington. Marcelo Bielsa at his press conference in Miami, saying that playing 4 periods instead of 2 alters the culturally constructed conception of how to interpret football and that it adds nothing and takes away a lot. Mauricio Pochettino, the coach of the host nation, saying he does not like it and only finds value when conditions are extreme. Didier Deschamps, managing the defending world champions, describing the game as now divided into 4 quarter times and adding that the broadcasters are happy. The broadcasters are happy. That phrase from Deschamps encapsulates the suspicion that has attached itself to this rule since the first match of the tournament. Because the commercial reality is impossible to separate from the welfare argument. Fox Sports used the breaks to air commercials during the very first World Cup match, Mexico against South Africa, at the Azteca on June 11th. They ran so many advertisements that they returned to the live broadcast after play had already resumed, a violation of FIFA's own 30-second return window. While Fox was cutting to commercials, Telemundo, broadcasting in Spanish, kept its cameras on the pitch. The contrast was visible immediately. The same break, the same 3 minutes. 2 broadcasters making 2 completely different editorial choices about what those 3 minutes were actually for. An online post that circulated widely among football supporters captured the reaction precisely. "It is not a hydration break," the post read, "if you make us watch commercials." Scientists who study heat illness have added their own layer of complexity to the debate. The University of Connecticut's Corey Stringer Institute, whose CEO co-signed a letter to FIFA urging stricter heat guidelines, has pointed out that 3 minutes is too short to make a significant physiological impact when temperatures are genuinely extreme. To meaningfully reduce a player's core temperature, a break of 5 to 6 minutes is needed. Below the heat threshold, 3 minutes does almost nothing biologically. The break that FIFA insists is essential for player welfare, at the specific duration FIFA chose, does not fully satisfy the welfare scientists who study the problem most closely. What it does satisfy, perfectly, is the commercial window. 130 seconds of advertising time, per break, per half, per match, across 104 games. Belgium boss Rudi Garcia said out loud what others have implied. He called the hydration breaks a coaching break, recognizing that the tactical value of 3 minutes with your squad, with tablets and tactical boards, is real and significant. Coaches who are well-resourced and well-prepared can use those 3 minutes to shift formations, address specific problems, and communicate information that would otherwise have to wait until halftime. That is not a welfare benefit. That is a tactical advantage that favors teams with superior coaching infrastructure.
And it arrives without fail at the 22nd minute of each half, disrupting exactly the kind of slow-building pressure that a team chasing the game needs to sustain, and giving exactly the kind of tactical relief that a team defending a lead needs to receive. UEFA's decision to formally reject this model for its own competitions is not merely symbolic. It draws a line in world football's governance between 2 approaches to the same question. One says every match stops, regardless of conditions, because consistency and commercial inventory demand it. The other says the game stops when the conditions make it necessary, because football's sporting integrity must come first. The language UEFA used in confirming its position is worth repeating. The European body will use the wet bulb globe temperature measurement to assess conditions on a case-by-case basis. The referee's discretion remains. No fixed time in the half, no mandatory window, no guarantee of a commercial break. Football, as UEFA intends to run it, still belongs to itself. What FIFA has created at this World Cup is real in its intent and genuine in at least part of its motivation. Heat is a serious concern. Player welfare at this tournament, in these cities, in these conditions, deserves serious institutional attention. The scientists are right that something is needed. The coaches are right that conditions vary enormously across 16 host cities and 6 weeks of competition. But the specific solution FIFA chose, mandatory regardless of temperature, mandatory regardless of roof, mandatory regardless of anything except the 22nd minute of the clock, is the solution that generates the most commercial revenue. And that is the distinction UEFA has just formalized on behalf of European football. Two governing bodies, the same sport, two very different answers to the same question. The coaches who have spoken this week, Bielsa and Pochettino and Deschamps and Van Dijk and Solbakken, were not asking FIFA to abandon player welfare. They were asking it to separate the welfare justification from the commercial architecture built around it. UEFA has answered on their behalf, quietly, formally, and with the full authority of the continent that runs the club game. Football's 4 quarters are a World Cup story. They will not be a Euro 2028 story, and that difference matters more than any 3-minute break.